Hey, it's me, Rod Morgan, a longtime listener and semi-professional host of the Morgan You Know podcast, a pop culture, sometimes music, sometimes movies, sometimes TV podcast, always entertaining podcast on the Morgan You Know podcast network. Listen to us wherever you get your podcast. That's an awful lot of podcasts. That's the Morgan You Know podcast.
Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls and Brew.
Yes, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Balls and Brew. A very special episode, if you will. An episode all about the very final game on the NFL calendar. I'm not entirely sure if we're allowed to refer to it as the Super Bowl, so I'll bring in my co-host from North Carolina, who is also our legal expert on the podcast, and ask him if we are allowed to call it the Super Bowl or if we should just refer to it as the big game. Chris King, hello.
Hey, Rod. I think we cannot use the name Super Bowl in any form of advertisement. So, this can't be our Super Bowl show or anything else like that. That would have to be the big game. You can't say, come here and watch the Super Bowl. You have to say, come here and watch the big game. I think that's legit way. It is Super Bowl 56. It is trademark. If we're an entertainment sports podcast, we need to talk about the Super Bowl, the World Series, blah, blah, blah. So,
all right, well, let's get further clarification from our football handicapper, our guy who crunches the numbers. Perhaps he has the ultimate number on this one. Mr. Williams, can we call it the Super Bowl when we're talking and just not call it the Super Bowl show when we title it on Spotify? It sounds like that's what Chris was saying.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll side with Chris there. What's up, guys? Also, I want to apologize to Jimmy from last week or 2 weeks ago and the listeners. Sorry, it sounded like I was trapped in my own bathroom, hostage with my mic. So I don't know what happened there. So hopefully this week is better.
I just assumed that maybe you were in deep on a couple of bets that went way south on you, and you had to go get a marker from a shady character. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just kind of maybe assumed that they were allowing you to record the podcast while you were under duress. That was what I thought.
I don't know what happened, but let's go this week, man. A lot to get to.
All right, well, I think there's only one place that we need to start. And Mr. King, I didn't even warn you that we were going to start here, but all credit and all kudos to you, my friend. You claimed yourself as the ultimate Cincinnati Bengals fan on this podcast because you went with them versus the Chiefs. I went with my head, and in the first half of that game, it looked like I was going to be correct, but your Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Chris, how do you feel?
I feel happy. I love this story. The Bengals have been crapped on and crapped on and crapped on for 30-some years. It's great for the NFL when you can have a team that in 2 years' time go from worst to first.
This team won 4 games last year, Chris. 4 games.
I'm just saying this is a great, great story. This is made for movies, and you see these types of teams come around every so often, and it's kind of magical. And part of me being from Indiana, Cincinnati's right there. They were, the next local team that I liked after the Colts because I wasn't a Bears fan. So, and it reminds me. Look at
you, just throwing shade at Jose and Leon and just trying desperately to assume the driver's seat on the bus. I know, I get it. All right,
so not only did I pick the Bengals, and I didn't turn into a turncoat like you did. I didn't turn my back on them. I believe in them. They got the heart. I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to ride or die with the Bengals. I also got you too. I got the Rams in there too. I was 2 for 2 last week.
All right, I was going to say, don't give away your Super Bowl pick yet. Let's go. And speaking of the Rams, let's go to Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, we started with the joy, Mr. King's Bengals making it to the Super Bowl. I suppose then we should now go to the defeat. Your Niners, your ride or die, your Kyle Shanahan-led Niners. Did you think you had a chance at any point in that game? How are you feeling during that NFC Championship game?
Oh, man. Did I think I had a chance? They're up by 10 in the fourth quarter. Yes, I thought I had a chance. But, no, circling back, props to Chris. He called Bengals. I was 2-0 ATS last week, or 2 weeks ago, but 0-2 straight up. So, Yeah, and for all the bad coaching that was during the conference championships game, I got to give a shout out to the defensive coordinator from Cincinnati, Lou Amaruno. He was fantastic in that game, especially the second half. Rushed 3, dropped 8, played a shadow on Mahomes. So that's why you didn't see Mahomes scrambling as much.
He seemed to not want to tackle him, too. Like, it almost seems like he gave his defenders the instruction, don't tackle him, and that just made Mahomes freak out.
Yeah, and dropping 8 in that, there was one guy in the middle of the field that was just looking at receivers waiting to cross. So they took away all the crossing routes to Tyreek and to Kelsey. Andy Reid did not do a good job adjusting. That was just one of the, more.
All right, now listen, we have plenty of time where we can go over the Bengals, all right? You sidestepped the question here. Your Niners are not in the Super Bowl. Don't give us your stats here. Give us your heart, Mr. Williams. These fans have been with you all through this NFL season. We know how much you love the Shanahan-led 49ers. What were your emotions in the fourth quarter of that game?
I thought it was the worst fourth quarter I've ever seen him coach. I mean, he doesn't go for it from midfield on 4th and 2. After McVay gives him a free timeout with that second horrific challenge, we'll get to McVay in a second. He doesn't call a timeout with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Shanahan doesn't. After the Rams get down to the 12-yard line, he had all 3 timeouts left, man. You have to call a timeout there to give Jimmy G the most time possible to get down the field, because we know that when the opposing team knows that Jimmy G is passing, his passer rate goes way down. And you could tell those last 6 passes for Jimmy G, 0 for 6. He was constantly looking at the Rams defensive line in that fourth quarter. He was absolutely horrific. But, I mean, that's the worst fourth quarter I've ever seen Shanahan call. And it
wasn't a great audition. If Jimmy G was auditioning to be the Indianapolis Colts quarterback over Gardner Minshew, it was not a great audition for him.
Jimmy G was terrible too. Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, it's odd for me to see those kind of mistakes out of Shanahan too, because I drink the Kool-Aid that you feed to all of us on here, that he's supposed to be this guy. He's been in these pressure games before. This Niners team was in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. He's been in so many of these pressure games. He grew up in it. For him to make some of those decisions, I don't understand it. How do you think? You study bad coaching. How do you think these decisions get made? Is it pride? Is he not listening to other guys? How do you think these bad decisions get made?
Well, it's that, and you can't. Debo didn't touch the ball in the last 12 minutes, so you can't have that happen. I think he tried to go galaxy brain on himself, where he knows that he's limited with Jimmy G, and so he's just trying everything. He's trying to outfool the other team, and it just didn't work this time. The Niners just ran out of gas, and I mean, there's a ton of blame on Shanahan, ton of blame on Jimmy G. There's also blame on the safety, Jaquiski Tart. Oh, my God. If he just catches the fluttering fly ball that Stafford lays up there,
that's
pretty sure that the Niners go on and win that game, because the Rams didn't have any timeouts left. They get in field goal range. The Niners do after Tart returns the ball into the field goal range. I mean,
the guy's just got a rough last name, too. You know it had to be rough for that guy coming up through football with the last name of Tart. Chris, Tart. Come on, you were a bully out there. What names would you call this Tart guy?
Nothing. It's a family-friendly podcast, Rod.
I'm sorry, Williams. I stopped your flow there, but Tart, he really threw me off. You know me. I got to take any stab I can at a joke. Continue.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. I mean,
but I don't know how that guy. You got to think that's one of those that guy's going to remember forever, right? Like there's those moments in a professional sports career every once in a while that are just terrible, right? Like your Bill Buckners, some of the other ones out there, and this guy's it's going to be one of those moments for him. I fear.
There's a reason that cornerbacks and safeties aren't receivers anymore.
Yeah. And you could tell right when he dropped that killed the momentum of that game. I mean, he was devastated after that, and you knew if you were a Niners backer then that it was over. the next play is like a 20-yard out to Beckham, and then the personal foul on top of that. You're like, yeah, it's not going to end well for San Fran.
All right, well, let's go back over to the AFC game then, and then we'll get back to Chris to touch on why he thinks his Bengals are going to look good in this game, because I think Chris has clearly tipped his hand to what he thinks is going to happen in this game. But, I mean, what are we to try to explain the second half of Kansas City? I've heard it floated that some folks think Patrick Mahomes might have had a concussion in the second half. Mr. Williams, what do you think went wrong for the Chiefs in the second half?
No, it's just Andy Reid forgot to run the ball like he normally does in playoff games. When Cincinnati they rushed 3 and dropped 8 on 45% of the third downs in that game in the second half, and Andy Reid didn't run it once. And you just get stubborn. Also, Andy Reid had a terrible call at the end of the first half that totally changed the momentum. I know you can blame Mahomes.
Yeah, you got to score there. You got to score there.
Or just throw the ball out of bounds, come in and kick the field goal.
Well, that's what I mean. Score points. I mean, you just got to score points there.
Yeah, and you know that if you give that play to Mahomes thinks that he can score on any play, anytime, anywhere. So you can't give that play to Mahomes because he's just too aggressive.
And that's where I will fault Reed the most, I think, right? With
Yes.
what went wrong at Kansas City this year is you got to be coach enough to rein in Patrick Mahomes at times. You've got to be enough to sidle up to that horse and know that he's a bucking Bronco and that he's going to do some things you don't like, but you also know that Bronco could take you to the promised land. But every once in a while, it's your job to tighten those reins and say, no, my friend, we've got to go this direction. And I just don't know that he does that enough, and it's the Kansas City's detriment.
Yeah, and look, they've played like they almost play like the Harlem Globetrotters. They're out there just loosey goosey. That's good, but they act like they can't lose. And this is professional football. This is Cincinnati. Everyone's saying they had no chance. Defensive coordinator had an awesome game plan in the second half, and they totally outcoached Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. And Cincinnati deserves to be where they're at. If that game is played 10 times. Maybe Cincinnati wins once or twice. I don't know, but they won. They won in the game that they should have won. So they deserve to be there.
I mean, they did win twice in Arrowhead in 5 weeks.
They sure did. There's no denying that. All right, Chris, what do you like so far about the matchup then? So, you got the Rams on the other side. Mr. Williams just talked to us a little bit about that 49ers-Rams game. I guess we didn't talk too much about the Rams, and we'll get to his thoughts on the Rams. But what do you think about this Bengals-Rams matchup as we're getting into it? There's the grandfather clock.
There's the grandfather clock on cue. On cue. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. And really, isn't that what we all want in the Super Bowl? We want it to be a good game. We don't want it to be 13-3. We don't want it to be 52-17. We want it to be a well-coached, well-played fourth quarter scrum for the game.
Yeah, I mean, even if it looks like the Bengals are out, they have proven to us that they will make it a game by the end. So I think you're absolutely right. There's no scenario where we don't see it close at the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think this is really about matchups or anything else. I think this is about heart and the magic of the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right,
Joey Burr,
Mr. Miyagi. All right, Mr. Miyagi. Let's slow down.
Jamar Chase.
Slow down.
I just there's something special about this team. Like, I've been hitting at it a lot this year. No, and I'll be the first to admit, I did not predict them to make the playoffs, let alone win their division. And they have proven people wrong all year long. I love this team. Go Cincinnati.
Yeah, but Mr. Williams, sometimes the fairy tale ends not exactly the way that you want it to, right? Like, we all remember the first Major League movie. What happens in the first Major League movie? We see them win the wild card game to get into the playoffs, but then they choose to not show us that the Indians get waxed by the Yankees as soon as they make it into the playoffs, right? So sometimes the Cinderella team with the magic comes up against a team that's coached by Sean McVay, who was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, has Aaron Donald, one of the best players football has ever seen, has OBJ, has all of these weapons, and sometimes the team on the other end is just a little too talented, right? Is that maybe a fair storyline for the Super Bowl as well?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, McVay has not been good in these playoffs either, though. And I would say that Cincinnati is winning in spite of Zach Taylor. It's been more how awesome Burrow has been, Chase and Higgins, and the defensive coordinator and that no-name defense. But, yeah, it could be a good game. It could also be a potentially slow starting game. So, I have some things on that if we want to get into it later.
All right. Well, so we all are hoping for a good game. We're going to try to touch on a lot of different aspects here for you. I'm sure we'll have some thoughts on the halftime show. We'll have a couple of different parlays, a couple of different bets, all that kind of stuff. So let's, Mr. Williams, let's start with you. The first thing you want to get into, the first thing you want to give the folks off of that extensive note sheet that I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I'm looking at the first quarter total under. You can either go 10.5, 10, 9.5, depends on how much juice you want to play or you want to pay. But only 8 of the last 22 Super Bowls has had at least 10 points scored in the first quarter. That's kind of interesting because you remember that stat when you go back, all those Brady Super Bowls where they didn't score in the first quarter, but somehow they still ended up winning. Those had a lot to do with those stats there. But Bengals first quarter road unders this year, 10-0. So the Bengals get off to slow starts. I also like Cincy first drive to end in a punt. The last 7 road games for Cincy on their opening drives, 6 punts and a fumble. And the last 7 first drives against the Rams D, 7 straight punts. The opposing team, 3.2 yards per play, 7 total first downs. So I think the game is going to get off to a super slow start, honestly.
All right, let me give you the flip side of that. Let me give you something I love on the flip side of that. Let's say that Chris is absolutely right that this Bengals team of destiny starts out hot. You can get plus 110 money right now on DraftKings on the player jersey number to score the first touchdown over 23.5. Now, that seems like a sucker bet because Jamar Chase's number is low. Burrow himself can score, but Joe Mixon at 28 and T. Higgins at 85, 2 real good candidates for that first touchdown that you can get plus money on. That's something I like early in the game. Chris, you got anything you like early in the game?
Yeah, so it's kind of similar. I think it could start off slow. Cincinnati has started games out slow this year a lot. I had a prop bet early in the year with them and Pittsburgh about low scoring first quarter, so I'm well aware of that. But I do like the first touchdown that's scored, total yards over 7.5. Both these teams do real well in that.
Let's go. 12-yard touchdown to T. Higgins, and we both win, baby. Let's go.
Right, exactly. That's all we need, and I think that's very easy that either team here could get a touchdown of 8 yards or more for the first score.
See, I like yours because if the Rams score the first touchdown, I'm in trouble with my over 23.5 because you got low numbers with OBJ, and you got low numbers as well on that receiving core, so I'm in trouble there. So, Mr. Williams, why do you like about Chris's there over 7 yards for the first touchdown? Do you like it being a semi-big player, or do you think somebody's going to get right down to the goal line?
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, the Rams blitz at the 5th highest rate. And we know that Burrow has absolutely dominated the blitz this year. He hasn't been as good under pressure, but just because you blitz doesn't mean that you're going to get pressure. And actually, the Rams are top 5 in pressure rate when they don't blitz. They're bottom 5 when they do blitz. So if I was the defensive coordinator, if I was Raheem Morris for the Rams, I would not blitz at all in this game. But they have an ego. Not only do players have egos, coaches have egos, and sometimes those are tough to go against. We were wondering last year whether Todd Bowles was going to blitz Pat Mahomes, and we hadn't seen it all year, and then all of a sudden he didn't blitz him, had an awesome game plan, and that's why Tampa Bay destroyed Kansas City last year. Does Raheem Morris blitz Burrow or not? That's going to be a key into this game.
Yeah, I think you tend to see differences, right? Like I just think you have the extra week to plan for this game. Like you so much pressure is under you to perform at your highest output as a coach in this game that I think you do tend to see some teams maybe try to pull out a random trick play or like something that they've really worked on against one formation. And so like I'm really going to be on the lookout for a cool kind of play like that coming out of Sean McVay and the Rams early on in this game, right? Like I'd like to see a cool trick play, maybe get OBJ score because he's kind of silently been coming on pretty darn strong for the Rams, right? We all kind of shrugged our shoulders when he went over to the Rams. We're like, maybe he's beyond his prime. And he's quietly stepped up and been a huge receiver for them the last couple of weeks, and he's been pretty strong in the playoffs as well. So if OBJ gets a big touchdown, that puts him on the board for MVP, which is something we'll touch on. But I just wanted to plant my flag on OBJ and the words MVP right now. But we'll get back to that later.
One thing, too, you talk about trick plays. There's a prop bet. I don't have this on my list that I wanted to bring up, but it reminded me. There's a prop bet out there that's a fun one, and it's number of total players that complete a pass, and right now it's like at 2.5, and I think I like the over on that. I see at least one trick play where somebody else completes a pass.
Nice. Another good bet coming out of you there. So, Mr. Williams, we talked a little bit about the first quarter, first score, things of that nature. Do you like some, do you got anything weighted around when we get to halftime? And then I think we'll just talk about the halftime show then after this.
Yeah, here's an interesting one, and you might think this is totally a coin flip, but really it's not. This is under the game specials tab on DraftKings, and it's first timeout called. I like the Rams minus 125.
Nice.
It's because each of the last 9 games, the Rams and McVay have called the first timeout. He actually led the league in unnecessary timeouts called, and that consists of like when you're trying to avoid a delay of game or get out of a play call on offense, or maybe on defense he's trying to make a late substitution or challenging a dumb play like he did twice last week or in the conference championships. So yeah, he wastes 2.9 timeouts per game. That is an actual stat. That is terrible, man. Like, I can't believe that stat. So a lot of people look at that and just be like, why is that even a bet? But I actually like first timeout Rams minus 125.
Nice. I wonder if you could play that parlay Rams with the first timeout Rams to win. You know what I mean? I wonder what kind of odds you'd get on that guy.
Yeah, I think you can mess around with some single game parlays. Some of those are added in, and some of those you can't add in. I don't know. It seems dependent on the sports book.
All right. Well, so do you like any first half over under anything like that? You got any bets associated around what the score will be at halftime, Mr. Williams?
Not exactly, but I do have like a different way to get better odds if you like the Rams to win this game.
Okay.
So if you don't think they're going to cover, if 4.5 is too much for you to lay, and you just want to take the Rams money line, well, the Rams money line has jumped up to minus 200 right now. So instead of that, I say take Rams to lead after the first half and to win the game. That's at even money. So the reason why I like the Rams to lead at the half is check out the quick starts they had during this postseason. 28-0 versus Zona, 27-3 versus Tampa, 7-0 versus San Fran. We've seen the Rams get out to quick starts, and we've seen Cincinnati get out to majorly slow starts. They were down 21-3 against Kansas City. And another reason why I like this, Zach Taylor is super conservative on fourth down. He's not afraid to put McPherson out there to kick a field goal, whether it be
that dude's
short.
Clutch, though, man. That guy's got awesome. Some Adam Vinatieri vibes in him.
He's awesome, short or long. So, I mean, this could be like a 10-6 game at halftime, 14-6, 14-9. But I like the Rams to lead at the end of the first half. And if you think they're going to win the game, why not just take them to lead after the first half and win the game at even money instead of laying minus 200 on the money line?
That's smart. I wanted to give the listeners something else you told me in the beginning, and Chris, I'll point this your way. So if you like your Bengals and you want your Bengals to win, Mr. Williams suggests that you wait maybe till the game starts, right? Even if the Rams get out to the first touchdown, then maybe you take your Bengals because you're going to be getting great odds at that point. So that's another little tip for the listeners. Chris, are you going to follow that one?
I mean, it's smart advice, and that's exactly what I'm sure some people did in that Kansas City game. Because I bet you at halftime you were getting great odds if you're trying to take the Bengals to cover or win outright. So, yeah.
I just think that's good advice, period. I think that's good advice, period, Mr. Williams, right? Is that with as responsive as these new apps are on the phone, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do even as the game gets going that may swing in your favor.
For sure. And another early one that I like is Cincinnati's first score to be a field goal. And you're actually getting plus 160 on this bet. This is one of my favorite bets of the Super Bowl weekend. Their last 7 road games, Bengals' first score was a field goal. And you're getting plus money, plus 160. And we've said Taylor's not afraid. If it's 4th and 7 from the 38, he's not afraid to bring McPherson out there, kick a 55-yarder. Likewise, if it's 4th and goal from the 3, Zach Taylor's probably going to trot McPherson out there for a field goal. So
he's hit 12 this year over 50 yards. There's another good prop bet out there too that you can find, and take the over if you find it, and it's 1.5 made field goals by McPherson.
Yeah, if the Bengals win, that guy's getting more than one field goal. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
All right, so now we are at halftime of the big Super Bowl.
Wait, 1 second, Rod. I got one thing
ahead.
I want to throw in here before we get into halftime, and this will lead you directly into halftime. So I know a lot of people out there do a lot of different office pools and everything for the Super Bowl every year, and they're usually like 15 to 30 different little bets you can take, and people throw money in, and whoever gets the most right wins the pot. We're not going to do any money here. But we're going to do a little mini office pool between us three. I got 5 questions, 5 little bets for the game. We're going to start off real quick. I know a lot of people like the national anthem bet over under the time.
Who's singing the national anthem this year? I don't even know.
Mickey somebody. She's a country western singer.
Oh, okay.
But
we have both kinds, country and western.
But this is during the national anthem. Who is shown first, Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford? Rod?
Burrow.
Williams?
Yeah, I think I go Burrow.
I'm going to go Stafford. Number 2.
Can I amend mine? I think they're not going to show anybody in the field. They're actually going to cut to that one picture of Joe Burrow that's going all over Twitter where he's just got the black turtleneck on and the gold chains. I think they're actually just going to cut to that shot.
That'd be great. All right, second question. Will Peyton Manning's in the new Michelob Ultra commercial. Apparently it's got Steve Buscemi, a real Big Lebowski type vibe, and they're at a bowling alley. Will Peyton Manning bowl a strike in the Michelob Ultra commercial?
No.
Williams?
Yeah, I'll say no also.
I'm going to go yes. All right. We talked a lot about McPherson. Longest score in the game. Is it a touchdown or a field goal?
I'll let Mr. Williams go first this time.
Longest score of the game for Cincinnati?
For either team. For the longest score. Is the longest score like a big play, like 50-yard touchdown pass, or is it going to be a field goal? Like a 55-yard field goal?
Oh, man, that's a good one. I think I'm going to go field goal.
All right.
Give me Stafford to OBJ bomb.
All right. I am also going to go touchdown. I think it's going to be Burrow to Chase. I think Chase breaks for a long one that's over 60 yards. All right. End of the game, winning coach. The liquid that gets poured over his head, is it clear or colored?
I'm going to go colored.
I'm going to go colored, and I'm going to call my shot. It's orange. 5 out of the last 6 Gatorade Bass have been orange, and the Bengals' color is orange. I think those are a lot of good signs. Pouring orange, give me colored, and I'll even call my color orange.
That is a really, really good bet. I'm going to go clear, and I think it's going to be water and not like an actual like clear Gatorade.
That's an awful tough distinction. Do we got Bill Nye the Science Guy down on the field to make the distinction on that one? What's happening here?
I'm sure someone will report it.
Can we get Guy Fieri on it? Can we get Guy Fieri down from Flavortown and get him on it?
There we go. All right, and now for the last question. Halftime show. Who's the first star that comes out and opens up the show?
All right, let's give people a quick rundown here who we've got in the halftime show. You got your Dr. Dre. You got your Snoop Doggy Dogg. You got your Marshall Mathers, a.k.a. Eminem. You got your Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip-hop soul. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting?
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar, that's right. All right. I am going to go with the queen of hip hop soul, Mary J. Blige. She's gonna come out like singing some hook or something, and then all the guys are gonna come out doing different rapping or something. That's my bet.
All right. I'm going to go with Snoop. I think he's the most mainstream
That is a good call.
star that's going to be on that stage, and I think they bring him out. I think it's probably maybe to Still Dre beat, but I bet it's Snoop coming out.
All right, there you go. Williams, what do you say?
You got to go with the guy who started it all. I'm going Dre.
All right.
All right, there we go. And then those of you at home, you can play along, but we will give you guys our answers next pod.
All right, so let's talk the halftime show here real quick, and then we'll move on and finish up the game. So, do we think we are going to get a "Forgot About Dre"? Right? Are we going to get any of what Eminem Dre combo song are we getting? Are we getting Guilty Conscience? That would be awesome if we got Guilty Conscience, but I don't think they're going to do that one.
I can see Forgot About Dre.
I think you'll get Forgot About Dre.
Do we get My Name Is?
I think you'll get the Snoop Doggy Dogg, like a Snoop Doggy Dogg. You'll get Slim Shady, probably. What's My Name?
No, dude, they'll do nothing but a G thing. I mean, they'll drop it all the way back to the old school, the one that announced them for all of them, right? They'll do that. That'll be one that'll play at some point.
I would be very happy if they do Ain't Nothing But a G thing.
You got to open with California Love though, right? Has to, man.
Well then,
but that's a Tupac song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what?
So you think the hologram rumor's real? Because I heard 50 Cent's going to be out there.
Yeah, even if it's not, man.
What's 50 Cent doing out there? He's from New York.
I know. I don't know. That's a rumor I heard. I think it's just as legit as the Tupac hologram.
I guess Eminem's from Detroit. So.
Because
then what is the other one? Everybody is. You said there's bets out there now. These were tough to find. I asked these guys if they could find any halftime props, and they were tough to find out there. But Chris said he saw one about is Tupac going to appear as a hologram, and he said he also saw one about Eminem. What was the one you saw about Eminem?
Does Eminem wear a Detroit Lions jersey at some point during the show?
I think
he does. I think he does. I think he pulls out. I think it's either old school Barry Sanders or it's like a black newer one of some sort.
You really narrowed it down. A black newer one of some sort. All right, I just know that I'm pretty darn excited for this halftime show. I mean, the halftime show is always kind of a big deal. I check them out all the time. I thought Bruno Mars did a pretty good job. I enjoyed when Prince did the halftime show during the Colts winning the Super Bowl. There's a couple others, like Bruce Springsteen did a pretty good job, Tom Petty, so on and so forth. But I'm looking forward to this one, that's for sure.
It's the first one I've been excited about for a long time.
All right, well, let's get into the second half of the game. So, Mr. Williams, you believe we'll be starting the second half with the Rams winning. What do we need to talk about in the second half and final half of NFL football this season?
Yeah, I mean, if the Rams are winning, I expect the Bengals to be passing more. If you think that Chase is going, or if you think that Ramsey's going to try and shadow Chase for a majority of the game, and hopefully the Bengals have a little bit of protection for Burrow. I like T. Higgins over 69.5 yards. Receiving yards in the game. He's going to be matched up with Darius Williams for the most part, and he's been terrible as the Rams' second corner in the postseason. So he's only 5'8". T. Higgins is 6'4". So I think it'd be smart for Cincy to call up some plays to Higgins in the second half, and for the whole game for that matter.
Yeah, I like Higgins an awful lot. He's been he's that guy when you say to yourself you're going to shut down Chase, which Chris has talked about so often is basically impossible. Chase is still going to get his at some point, but Higgins is always right there to be a nice security blanket. All right, Chris, what do you think? Do you think your Bengals are going to be starting out in the lead, or do you think they might have to be doing their typical Cincinnati Bengals thing here, and they're going to start the second half out behind like Mr. Williams is presupposing?
Part of me thinks that they're going to start out slow. But I kind of think that one team is going to start out slow, whoever it may be. Trend says that'll be Cincinnati, but who knows? I think whoever is trailing going into the second half, though, will have relied on field goals in the first half. One thing is when you have a team that has, 2 or 3 field goals versus a team scoring touchdowns, you get that scoring disparity. At some point, somebody's going to have to go for two to either extend to make it a 2-possession game or to keep it a 1-possession game. So I actually like to bet a successful 2-point conversion. You can find this on FanDuel at plus 260. What you think about that, Williams?
That's a good one. There, I also saw where there is a spot where you can bet on will there be an octopus, and what that is if the listeners don't know, is the person who scores the touchdown also gets a 2-point conversion, and I think that's like at 14-1. So if you think that there's going to be, I think there's going to be a couple field goals and teams are going to have to try that 2-point conversion, that's almost a juicier.
You
bet
can really
there.
see Cooper Kupp getting touchdown 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter. For some reason, I can really see that happening.
For sure.
Same thing with Mixon. I can see him getting a touchdown and then turn around and getting the 2-point conversion. So, yeah, I like that bet too.
Yeah, so another one that I like is I like Cam. If I think the Rams are going to control the game flow here and are going to be up for most of the game, I like Cam Akers over 64.5 rushing yards. He appears to be the workhorse again. He had 27 touches against Tampa Bay, only had 14 against San Fran, but he came out for a little bit with that shoulder injury, but he came back in the game. And 82% of his runs have come out of 11 personnel. The Bengals rank 25th versus the rush out of 11 personnel on first downs, and we know McVay isn't scared to run it on first downs. And also on 2nd and 5 or less, when facing 11 personnel, Bengals are 23rd in rush yards per attempt allowed, and 80% of Akers' runs this postseason have come in those situations where the Bengals are the weakest. So I like Cam Akers over 64.5 rushing yards for a prop.
All right, here's one that I enjoy. This one is it seems kind of basic, but you know what? It also is like, if you're giving me plus 400 on this, why wouldn't I take it? Both teams score 20 plus. Cooper Kupp gets 100 plus receiving yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase gets 80 yards. That'll pay you plus 400. And the kind of shootout we were all talking about, I like that. And one of my deep long shots, and again, it will be leading you toward the MVP discussion we will have. Odell Beckham Jr. over 99.5 receiving yards plus 360. If I was feeling real froggy, Odell Beckham Jr. to score the first and second touchdown of the game was plus 8,000, but I'm not quite that insane.
So one that I also like for a game, this would go for either team, is shortest touchdown total yards. And right now it's set at 1.5 yards. I would take the under. You can find it most places right around minus 140. I did see it from minus 125 up to minus 160.
How mad would you be if that was the first touchdown of the game?
Oh, well, I'd be like, well, I may have lost one, but I did win another, so that's a wash. But you'll like this, Williams, as far as like trends go. All right? In 22 of the last 32 years, including 5 of the last 6, the shortest touchdown in the Super Bowl was exactly 1 yard. That's like a 68.8%, which suggests a market price of roughly minus 220.
Yeah, so, that's pretty good stat there, yeah.
Yeah, so I really like shortest touchdown in the game under 1.5 yards.
All right, well, let's get to our final predictions here. Then our final predictions. Any parlay? Any last one game parlay you want to put down on multiple things that happen? Anything like that? This is our final chance for the game. Mr. Williams, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I like. I'll piggyback on that last stat there. I think it's going to be lower scoring than most people believe. One of the main defenses that Cincinnati runs, Stafford has had trouble with. 14 out of his 18 picks have come versus kind of the base defense that Cincinnati runs. And we know how good their defensive coordinator has been at adjusting in the second half. And we know, surprisingly, Cincinnati has only played one top 10 defense this year, and that was against the Titans. Burrow got sacked 9 times and ended up scoring 19 points. They've struggled against good defenses this year, so I actually think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think if they control the game, the Rams, I don't think McVay is scared at all of running the ball. I like Cam Akers at 35-1 to win the MVP.
Wow. Cam Akers 35-1 to win MVP, huh?
Let's go.
I guess I'll give my MVP pick here at this point. My MVP pick is not Cam Akers. My MVP pick is Odell Beckham Jr. And I believe, let me get to his numbers right now, but I think it's like plus 800. No, plus 2,800. Excuse me. Yeah, plus 2,800 for Odell Beckham Jr. But I think you're going to see a Cincinnati team that devised a great scheme to limit Patrick Mahomes when they needed to in the second half. I think you may see a similar scheme trying to deny Cooper Kupp a little bit, even though I think the guy's still going to get his. But I think that's going to open up a guy like OBJ, who it just seems to me will be ready to shine brightly in the lights of a Super Bowl. So I like OBJ for MVP. Chris, what about you?
So I went with a real dark horse as well for MVP. I see a situation where maybe Chase does get locked down a little bit, but Higgins gets loose and goes crazy and gets those big possession catches, moves the chains, gets a couple scores, makes a spectacular catch. I think that T. Higgins can win the MVP, and that's at plus 5,000 right now. So a little bit of a long shot, but it's possible.
Nice. All right. So, Chris, you like the Bengals to win the game. Are you placing a bet on the Bengals to win the game, or are you just going to stick with a couple of your props? What are you going to do?
I'm just going to stick with the props that I put out there. I'm 100% behind the Bengals. I think they're going to win. I think this is their year. I'm definitely not turning my back on them now.
All right. Mr. Williams, how about you? You just sticking with the props? You got a particular angle you're playing on the game? Who you think is going to win?
Yeah, it feels like the Rams. The Rams have almost lucked into this this Super Bowl. I mean, everything is falling their way. Think about this. They're a number 4 seed. They're about to host their 3rd home game in the playoffs as a 4 seed. And I mean, they got to play, Kingsbury late in the year when we know he struggles. They smoked them. They got to play Brady and the banged up Bucks. Missing all kinds of starters on that team. And then San Fran just ran out of the gas, and they played good against Jim.
All right, give me this parlay right here. Give me OBJ wins MVP, Sean McVay calls first time out, Rams win. Because, Mr. Williams, I'm absolutely with you. We have never seen this scenario before where this Rams team is sleeping in their own beds the entire playoffs. They are just driving to the facility in their own cars, much the same way they go about business for regular season games. They are now playing their 14th game in this stadium, 15th game, something like that. It's an insane number for a team to be able to play in one stadium in one particular year. I just think that we're not talking about this an awful lot. And Chris, quite frankly, I thought this might come up from you because you're such a huge fan of talking about West Coast teams going to the East Coast. So I thought maybe the inverse of that, a team that literally doesn't have to leave its house for an entire month, might factor in.
Well, it's weird. So, yeah, there is a legitimate stat and trend of West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast playing early Sunday games having not very good luck. However, if you're an East Coast team traveling to the West Coast, even if it's an early game on the West Coast, that's still a 4 o'clock game on the East Coast. So it's not near as much of a shock for those teams. So that tends not to be a big deal. And who knows who's buying those tickets in that Coliseum.
Well, I love how you just sidestepped the whole fact that the Rams have just been home, right? Like you skirted that issue and brought up other things that are definitely relevant, but you skirted that because for me that's just too much to go against. But I will say this. I said it was too much for the Bengals to go against the Chiefs, and here they are in the Super Bowl. So Chris could be able to continue driving this Cincinnati bus. Mr. Williams, we will not say goodbye to you. I'd like to think we'd have you on 1 to 2 more times maybe to at least wrap up the Super Bowl and then wrap up any big off-season NFL moves that happen maybe before the draft. Maybe those would be your next 2 pods. Or I suppose maybe even March Madness, right? It's always up to you, Mr. Williams. We're happy to have you anytime you want to come on and drop the knowledge.
Oh man, it was awesome. I think this game is going to live up to the billing, and can't wait for it, man. It's going to be an awesome game.
Hey guys, be sure and check out the My Ambitions as a Writer blog, where I, the Mrs. Morgan you know, Kate Morgan, shares my many opinions, stands with women everywhere, and stays rough and rugged addressing the mass public. Visit themorganyouknow.com/blog. Enjoy!
All right, we are back. Chris, there's definitely one trade everybody knows we're going to talk about, and you're laughing. You know we'll get there, but let's start with a couple others before we get there. What do you believe, other than the big one, which we'll clearly talk about, was the most impactful trade that went down today?
Oh, okay. So, so there was a lot of things that went on, and we'll get to the big one. Celtics were real active.
Yeah, but they were more active, like, let's just get under the tax and move deck chairs around on the Titanic. Like, I don't feel like they made a huge move.
Yeah, it's just they were making a bunch of moves. They did the right thing getting rid of Schroeder, I think.
Sure.
I think they have a better chance now of getting to the playoffs in the East, which they still need to do. Really, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I thought that Pacers-Kings trade was pretty significant.
Yeah, but that's not impactful. That's not impactful.
But it
for
is
this
for
year.
those. It is for those like that. The Kings could really still make a play-in game in the West, which is crazy to think of, but they still could.
Fine. Good. Congratulations to the Sacramento Kings for completely mortgaging their future and giving away Tyrese Halliburton so that they can possibly make the 10th
So here's
seed.
one. Okay, so I'll give you one. I think Karis LeVert going to the Cavs makes the Cavs stronger.
Okay.
It only makes them stronger in the East and still solidifies them as a top 4 team.
Okay, I'll see your Cavaliers and raise you another minor move that happened in the East that I think is actually impactful. The Milwaukee Bucks got Serge Ibaka for basically free, okay? And the Bucks absolutely need another big. Give me a guy who's won an NBA championship before, okay, and can shoot the three. And nobody watches Clipper games because why would you right now? But Serge Ibaka is back to sort of looking like the Serge Ibaka that played for the Toronto Raptors and was impactful. And Milwaukee just got him for free. So I think that's a pretty big time move for the actual strongest team in the East, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that was a good move for them. I think Serge Ibaka is a guy that can go in and get you 24 to 28 solid beast-like minutes, you know? That's
Absolutely.
what they need.
And he was a guy that we all thought was going to get moved. A couple of guys we totally thought were going to get moved that we talked about in preparation ahead of the trade deadline didn't go anywhere. Chris, what do you think the deal is with the Rockets not trading Eric Gordon and the Pistons not trading Jeremy Grant?
Yeah, like those names that we threw around a lot, and they were hot names out there. They didn't get moved, you know. The Lakers didn't make any significant moves, and we talked about them. And then even Buddy Hield, everyone was saying he was going to get moved right away when the Pacers acquired him, and that didn't happen. So it's really weird. Like either the Rockets really were trying to hold out, and no one was willing to give them what they wanted, and they said sayonara, or something else was going on. I don't know. But I thought for sure those names were gone.
We both sort of ended up being right on Eric Gordon, right? Like we sort of got in this Eric Gordon discussion, and we both sort of ended up being right. I was dead right in the price that the Rockets wanted, and then you were dead right in that was foolish, and therefore he ended up not getting traded.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. And probably his market value is probably what the Lakers probably were willing to offer, and of course, Houston was like, no.
Yeah, and I believe Schroeder ended up in Houston.
Yeah.
And I believe Houston's probably going to buy him out. Don't be surprised to see Dennis Schroeder end up on the Los Angeles Lakers in a buyout scenario.
Oh, they're just grasping at straws, aren't they?
They definitely are grasping at straws. We can get to them more because we're gonna have to start focusing on the NBA more on this podcast as we move forward with the NFL.
I'm really
wrapping up.
surprised you didn't bring up your favorite team out west, the Mavs.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. I was actually going to bring them up next. Look at you. It's like we've done podcasts together before. But I was actually going to bring them up as kind of the surprise move before we got to the big blockbuster because I don't think a whole lot of people sniffed out that the Mavs were going to move Porzingis. I mean, we've always kind of known that Doncic and Kristaps don't really get along. We've always kind of known that Dallas was like, yeah, hey, if you want to take this Porzingis contract from us, we're cool with that. We also sort of knew that the Wizards weren't incredibly happy with Spencer Dinwiddie. And who wouldn't want to get rid of the Davis Bertans money? But I still was real surprised to see that trade go down. You're definitely right about that.
I really think it makes the Mavs better by subtraction.
I think you're right.
I think they'll have a better rotation. I think they'll have a little bit smoother offense. You'll probably see Luka's. Well, I mean, he's finally getting in a game day shape, so you're going to see his numbers improve anyway. So
he follows that Shaq method of I'm not really going to be in shape till after the All-Star break.
Right? Yeah, he's like, no, this is just warm-up period. So I think we'll see the Mavs play better the second half of the season. So
I just think the NBA these days, and we're about to get into it when we talk about the blockbuster here, but I think the NBA these days is so much about vibes, right? I mean, like if these guys aren't feeling good, they're not going to give you max effort. They're going to whine and complain until they get dealt, all the above, right? And so I just think the fact that Luka and Kristaps didn't really get along, Kristaps is bitching and whining all the time about wanting to get more post-ups, but then you have to explain to him, no, Kristaps, you actually kind of stink, so we're not going to give you the ball in a post-up scenario. Really, we're only good when Luka ball hogs it, which kind of stinks to have to tell the other guys that, hey, your deal is you have to just stand around and let this dude do all the work, right? Like that stinks vibe-wise. So what do you got to do? Shove some guys out, bring some other guys in that hopefully know their role. But here's how I want to start with the big blockbuster, which is, of course, James Harden and Ben Simmons being dealt for one another with a couple of other pieces thrown in there. We in the United States of America, Chris, need to stop rewarding bad behavior, okay? James Harden has quit on 2 teams in under a calendar year. Ben Simmons has completely quit on a team, doesn't even bother to show up, and has, in my opinion, falsely claimed mental health for said reason. We need to stop rewarding bad behavior because these 2 dudes basically just got exactly what they wanted.
So I haven't seen any comments from either guy since the trade happened. Has Ben Simmons came out to say that he'll be showing up to practice or anything?
He has said that he is already committed to start working with a therapist in New York to try to get him closer to being able to take the floor. So they've already laid the groundwork for, he's had a couple meetings. It's time for him to come back.
Why hasn't he been meeting with a therapist?
He doesn't trust the Philadelphia 76ers enough to meet with their team doctor, so it's been the cause of some strife between the NBA Players Association and the Philadelphia 76ers as to who the proper mental health physician for Ben Simmons is. Chris, don't get me started on the ins and outs of the Ben Simmons situation.
Okay, so I know this is a little bit off topic for an NBA podcast, but for one, if Ben Simmons is having real issues, he should be the one that picks his therapist, not the Players Association nor the organization he plays for.
Okay, I understand what you're saying there, but you also understand that in a contract situation, there needs to be language and some sort of an agreement to where both sides are disseminated information. Would you at least agree on that?
I think that you, as an employer, are allowed some sort of information, but not all. I don't think that I don't want my bosses dictating to me what doctor I can go to or not. They're not health professionals, you know. They're not the ones that have to be comfortable with that individual, especially when it comes to therapy.
Okay, then it needs to go to a third party because I'm gonna go complete old guy and seem like I'm siding with the owners here, but I can't just have it completely be in the players' hands either because just with the way that you can get doctors to come to your house these days and do a la carte medical services, these guys will be able to find any doctor they want to say whatever they need them to say. So if you don't completely trust the employer, and I get that, you need to be able to understand how I can't completely trust the player, and we need to come up with a third party then to do it.
Well, then, I mean, maybe I can see that, but if you can't trust one and you can't trust the other, then good luck to all of us, I guess.
Well, there you go. But that's why that's what I mean. We need to stop rewarding bad behavior. That's what this Ben situation has done now to the NBA. All of these ins and outs are now at play because of what this guy has done to the Philadelphia 76ers for the past 5 months.
I mean, what does Kevin Durant think if Ben Simmons isn't ready to play soon? Well, I mean, he already
probably the same thing he thinks about Kyrie Irving not being willing to take a vaccine that's clearly been shown to not have any side effects on half of the population of the United States, and is free to him, and he still won't take it.
Yeah,
But see, to me, hold on now. To me, it's not about the vaccine, okay? It's just about in an NBA parlance, all right? Kyrie keeps talking in these press conferences about this, third party that's keeping him from playing. And it's like, no, dude. There's one person right now that can absolutely solve all of this, and it's you.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was, kind of hee-hawing about. My thought process is the Nets get a guard who is really having an off season, really, even though his stats are still really good. I mean,
you're talking about Harden. You mean the Sixers are getting it. Sixers are getting it.
But he doesn't play defense. And that's something that they still need.
But you know who else doesn't play defense, Chris? Ben Simmons, because he doesn't play for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, no, but so the Nets aren't getting that right now either. And I tell you what, the Nets really could use a guard like him to
he'll
play.
Be fine. He's going to be back within a week. We all know. Listen, I'm not trying to put down mental health here. I'm not. And it's another reason that Ben Simmons angers me, because he makes me have to come out and say these things. But I don't fully believe that he's having these mental health struggles. And even the ones that he's talking about don't really point to a mental health struggle. They just point to, I don't really like being made fun of, and I don't really like being under pressure. I mean, honestly, look at some of his comments, man. That's all you can point to on the Ben Simmons camp, is that he doesn't like a lot of the pressure that he's being put under, and he doesn't feel that the 76ers are looking out for his needs enough. Please. What do you mean mental health struggle? That's anybody that ever works for anybody. Welcome to the world, Ben Simmons.
He will be third in line in Brooklyn at that
which
point.
Is why it's perfect for him. You're absolutely right. He'll
because
be back
Kevin Durant is still, second best player in the league, essentially, maybe third.
It just disgusts me. The whole situation disgusts me. He handled his business completely wrong. James Harden handled his business completely wrong twice in a calendar year, and they're both getting exactly what they want. The only guy who's a hero in this to me is Daryl Morey, because that guy's got a big brass set, man. Because he ate it. He ate it for months, and he told everybody, nope, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get another guy who's a top-flight player in the league, and I'll be damned if he didn't pull it off. Now, I went way bad against James Harden on the last podcast because I believe that a couple of years from now he's going to be toast, but you're going to get best behavior James Harden this year, and the Sixers are going to be a force to reckon with in the playoffs.
Yeah, if he's playing hard come playoff time, yeah, you don't want to go up against Philadelphia, especially if Embiid's still healthy.
And will you stop with the still healthy? You just keep trying to jinx my man Joel Embiid. But that's the other thing that bums me out about today's move, is that this might hurt Embiid's MVP chances, because he's going to be trying to assimilate James Harden onto his team, and this could hurt his MVP numbers, which will in turn hurt my bet, which will in turn piss me off.
I don't think it's going to do anything but help him. It's going to take pressure off him, because right now he gets all the double and triple teams that he can handle. So there's a whole lot more room for kickouts, passes, pick and rolls. I think it helps him out tremendously.
The only other thing I want to say about this, and then we'll let you talk about your Pacers here real quick as we wrap up, because I want to spin it forward to next year. The other thing I want to say is Tobias Harris, my man. Make sure you call up former teammate Al Horford. Make sure you call up former Charlotte Hornets All-Star, former Celtics Kemba Walker. about what it's like being that huge overpriced contract who gets sent to Oklahoma City in the offseason for not much of a return? Because I think that's your fate, Tobias. I think he's getting shipped out to Oklahoma City for basically no return. So then Philadelphia is awfully flexible, and they can try to bring in the third co-star with Embiid and Harden in the offseason that those guys want.
Yeah, it's too bad. I think Tobias Harris is a good player.
Well, you'd be wrong because he's not. He's just a bit above average, but he's not good, and that's the reason why he keeps getting shipped out of places.
Listen, I'm biased because he's been on my fantasy teams in the past. I know he's been on yours, and he's been good because he gets to the free throw line a lot. But I've always enjoyed him.
All right, so you brought up your Kings Pacers. Now's your time. Tell us about why this is good for each team moving forward.
So real quick before I get to that, I'm going to stick with the Indiana theme though. One other trade I did like in the East, the Celtics got Derek White from the Spurs. I was a little bit surprised about that, but that sent Romeo Langford, IU alum, to San Antonio. Maybe he'll get a little bit more playing time than the Piddly.
Well, listen, if there's a developmental league in the NBA that you want to see a guy go to, it's San Antonio. So if there's anything left in Romeo Langford, those guys will get it out.
Yeah, you're right about that. So one thing in the last podcast that we talked about with Father Pete was I was worried and hoped that the Pacers wouldn't blow it up.
Oh, and I was dead wrong. Let me go ahead and point that out. I was dead wrong. I snapped back at you and said the Pacers always sit on their hands. They do nothing, and I was dead wrong.
Yeah, no, they did not stay idle, did they? I really liked some of these trades. So I was a Sabonis fan. It would have been really nice to have been able to trade Turner away other than Sabonis.
See, I disagree. See, that's where I want to disagree with you real quick. I like the fact that they kept Turner over Sabonis, but continue.
But I'm a big fan of Halliburton. Tristan Thompson's a great veteran to have in the locker room.
Is he, though?
I mean, listen, it's not the Tristan Thompson from the Cavs from, 8 years ago, so I don't mind it. And I don't think
I hope the Pacers buy I hope the Pacers buy him out and let him just go to somewhere else. I think you would do yourself a service to look up old Tristan Thompson on the internet and find out what this dude is all about when he's not playing basketball, and that is a negative effect on the locker room. So if Indiana was smart, they don't even let Tristan Thompson anywhere near. What is it? It's not Bankers Life Fieldhouse anymore. It's something else weird, isn't it?
Oh, is it something different now? I thought it was still Bankers Life.
I thought I saw something different the other day, but who knows? Doesn't really matter.
But they also made another smart move, and they went ahead and got rid of Karis LeVert. He's a good player. The Cavs needed.
They essentially got two first-round picks for that. That's what I love about that.
Well, they got a first round and a second round. They are lottery protected if somehow Cleveland misses the playoffs.
But the second-round pick is the Rockets' second-round pick, which is essentially
early, a late first round.
Yeah, which is that's good. Listen, if you're the Pacers, and you need to keep losing if you're the Pacers as well. All right, the Pacers haven't had a top 10 draft pick since like 1989. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but they may end up winning some of these games. They got Lamb out of there. They got Justin Holiday out of there.
They better not win. I know Rick Carlisle wants to win, but they better not win. That's not in their best interest the rest of this year.
It may not be, but
you want to get Paolo Banchetti or that kid from Auburn, or you want to get one of these top 4 guys if you're the Pacers, because then you put them with Halliburton and Duarte, and then Miles Turner, who can actually rim run with Halliburton, which is what Halliburton wants to do.
It's a mid-season on-the-fly rebuild built for the future, which is something you rarely see.
Right, because Indiana's never going to bottom out, which is sad, because frankly the Pacers should just bottom out. Because listen, Pacers, I love you, and I love Indiana, but this, we always make the playoffs for 16 straight years. The fans don't buy it. Nobody shows up at that stadium, man. So just go ahead and suffer the attendance deal for a couple years and really try to get some stars on that team, which I still agree with you. Halliburton moving forward is great. They still got Lance Born Ready Stevenson. Let's hope they bring him back next year.
Chris Duarte has played well when he gets minutes. And
Duarte's serious. I was kidding about Lance Stevenson. I love having Lance on the team, but he clearly can't be somebody you're building around for the future.
Well, no. He's veteran minimum guy. 8th man off the bench maybe.
But that's what I mean. You got Duarte, you got Halliburton. You get this rookie if you get in the top 4. I like where the Pacers are moving forward, but it's in their interest to not win this year.
Yeah, you got to get more out of Turner. He has to turn into Rudy Gobert.
And I think that's what they're going to try to. That's what Rick Carlisle's trying to convince him now that he's still there and he didn't get traded. They're going to be like, listen, Domas is out of here, so we'll give you a few more post touches every once in a while. But if we're going to do that, then you got to do this for us. I think we're going to see a bounce back from Miles Turner next year. But listen, it's going to be tough to get into that top 4 because Portland announced for everybody that we ain't trying to win. Houston announced for everybody that they're not trying to win. Detroit, I don't know, maybe because they kept Jeremy Grant, but Orlando's still definitely not trying to win. So, I mean, there's still definite competition. Oklahoma City wasn't trying to win from the beginning, so there's still definite competition down there to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, no. I hate tanking. I just absolutely hate it.
Well, listen, we have plenty of time to talk about other NBA issues as we move on forward. As Mr. Williams talked to about a little bit back there, we'll do a college basketball show in the upcoming weeks. When April rolls around, it'll be time for the Masters. We'll get our guy Roberts on talking a little bit of golf and plenty of basketball. So never fear that football is over. We still got plenty of stuff to talk about here on Balls and Brew. And also, don't forget, you can go back and find the episode previous to this one in this various feed. It was the return of the Morgan podcast. Myself, Mrs. Morgan, Kate Morgan, Chris King of this very podcast, and Jake Williams all discussed the 1990 movie Bonfire of the Vanities. It was a pretty fun podcast where we talked all about that book by Tom Wolfe, the movie starring Tom Hanks and Bruce Willis back in 1990, and my favorite part of the podcast, I don't know about you, Chris, but when we cast our remake of if we did Bonfire of the Vanities in 2022, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a blast, and we all had some great casting ideas.
So check that episode out. And also, Jimmy Jam and I will be having a Yeah We Know in the Ring with Jimmy and Brett coming up next week. We took this week off because, quite frankly, we're a little far away from Elimination Chamber, the next premium live event, and we had the Morgan coming up for you. But we'll drop a Yeah We Know next week, as well as Chris and I will be back, maybe with Wu-Tang, maybe with Father Pete, maybe with Derek, maybe with Jimmy, maybe Corey and Ance. I don't know. We'll find some NBA luminary to chop up NBA with us, and we'll have Mr. Williams back for a few minutes to do a final post-mortem on the Super Bowl. That'll be next week. But until next time, Mr. King, the final word goes to you.
Goodbye, Internet.